biggest question everyone has is, are we nearing the end of this slowdown? Well, Nomura seems to think it will take more time than initially expected. Nomura has said it expects the Indian GDP to grow at 4.3% in Q4 for the year. In fact, they expect the recovery to be delayed as well, saying we will grow at 4.7 in FY20 and 5.7 in FY21. This comes just a day after S&P has sort of warned that India's sovereign rating could be downgraded if the economy does not recover. Meanwhile, inflation is up at 5.54% in November, driven by high food prices. IIP is down for October at 3.8%, and the RBI has hit the pause button on rate cuts, in hindsight rightly so. So is the worst yet to come? How far do we seem from a recovery? To speak more on this, I'm joined today by Gautam Chikkarmane, Vice President of ORF, Sunil Kumar Sinha, Director Public Finance of India Ratings, and Pooja Mehra, author and journalist. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Sinha, let me begin with you and your take. We've seen the CPI numbers today, we've seen the IIP numbers today. Not very great commentary coming in from all of these agencies. Do you think that we will have to wait maybe till the end of 2020, maybe the beginning of 2021, to see things change?
Tamanna, if one looks at the economy from a quarter perspective, then it is very clear that the second quarter result probably would be the bottom. And from here on, when we will have the third quarter and the fourth quarter data of this fiscal, the GDP growth both for third quarter and fourth quarter would be better than first and second quarter. This is not to say that things on the ground has really changed or will change. It is more of a statistical calculation, which simply means that the base is very low. So, what you are going to get as a YOY growth for third and fourth quarter would certainly look better. But the more substantive issue is that are we really seeing, or are we at the bottom of the cycle? My own sense is no. I mean, statistical calculation apart, in general, I mean, even today's number clearly shows that the festival season hasn't been able to make any difference to the overall industrial growth. In fact, if you look at the growth of overall IIP as well as the manufacturing sector growth, then in the current series, we haven't had seen such downturn. I mean, 3 consecutive months of negative growth, not seen in the past in the current series.
Let me get in your take. We've seen CPI come in at 5.54%. The RBI's decision to hit the pause button seems to make sense now in hindsight. Do you see this continuing for a bit, because food inflation tends to peak and then sometimes cool down also fairly quickly?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Pooja, the question's for you.
Whether inflation is going to continue with the uptrend? The RBI governor has said in the press conference after the Monetary Committee meeting the other day that they expect inflation to, especially food inflation, to pick up and stay in double digits till January at least. And after that also he said whether or not it will moderate depends on a whole lot of factors. He didn't spell out those factors, but I'm guessing it would be, easing of the supply side issues, especially for things like onions, etc., vegetables. We have it from the RBI. Inflation is not expected to look any better. Also, when food inflation picks up the way it has and is in double digits, I think inflationary expectations tend to begin to firm up. So inflation may not ease, and we have it from the RBI.
Broad sense, Gautam, what are you getting? The basic question that I asked Mr. Sinha. It seems to indicate that we're in for a little longer bout of tough times before things pick up.
Yes, I agree with that. Every quarter from 8% to 5, and the way the GDP growth has been coming down, we thought that this quarter it would turn, the next quarter it would turn, but we are now down to 4.5, which is terrible. For an economy like India, 4.5% is it's just way below its potential. I'm not certain yet. I cannot see any great signals that the tide is turning, except for one statistic, which is that the auto sector rose by 1%, I think, last month. This statistic came one or 2 days ago. But other than that, I don't see anywhere any green shoots of recovery or any great policy decision that will impact the next quarter. So I'm uncertain about it. People in the government are saying that this is the lowest, and from next quarter onwards growth will begin. Well, I hope they are right. At this moment, I don't see that growth happening.
Well, very often people point...
And also, to come on that inflation point,
yes,
I thought this government has done excellent work on keeping inflation under control for the past 5 years. Now suddenly inflation seems to be going out. My sense is that if inflation is going out, that is political. If other economic indicators are going down, they are still economic. My sense is that this government, in its totality, has been expending a lot of its capital on non-economic issues. In fact, things like, for instance, Balakot and the management after that, Article 370 abrogation and managing the world opinion or even domestic opinion after that, Ram Mandir and its fallout and preventing the problems from emerging after that, and now the CAB. I think this government is going on non-economic issues in a very systematic, straightforward, and according to what they say is in their manifesto, in a very good way. But somehow it seems to be coming at the cost of the economy. So economic policy, I see, is sort of being compromised at the altar of political policies or even foreign policies.
No, absolutely. Very pertinent point there that you've made, Gautam. And, Mr. Sinha, I want you just to come on that point, because frankly right now the RBI has given a very clear signal that we can't do much more. The ball is in your court. And some serious policy thought has to come in from the government side, from the finance ministry on what to do next. Do you see any signs of that?
After the first quarter results were out, we have seen that government, which was almost in a denial mode, suddenly got charged up, and since then they have taken or announced number of measures to do the course correction. But all of us know that most of the course correction that has been announced, if at all, will impact the economy in terms of growth, then it is going to play out only in the medium to long term. None of them will actually play out in the short term. Net, I guess one is still looking for that policy intervention on the part of the government, which can do something substantive in the short term to arrest the declining consumption demand as well as the overall economic momentum. And I don't see that coming anytime soon, simply because the fiscal space available to the government has in fact shrunk this fiscal as compared to the last fiscal. This fiscal government is probably staring at a fiscal deficit which will be much larger than what they had budgeted for various reasons. One is that the GDP, nominal GDP, which they had expected would grow at about 11%, is unlikely to go at 11%. Yes. So that itself will make the fiscal deficit look larger. And secondly, the fiscal giveaways in terms of corporate tax will eat into the overall revenue, which is what is the case at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, many have made the argument for relaxing the fiscal deficit targets in a situation like this. We'll have to wait and see what the government really does about it. But Gautam, I take your point, and a crucial one. It's time to bring the focus back on issues that really do matter, and the economy should be on top of the list right now, frankly. We've seen a whole winter session, on other very emotive issues. Let's hope that the focus comes back where it matters, because this affects everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the debate. We'll take a very short break, but don't go away, because we focus on the real issues right here on the show as well. When we come back, we're talking about the Data Privacy Bill and asking why Justice Sri Krishna, the architect of the original draft, is so upset. We're also giving you a UK election check. My colleague Chandra will be joining me from Bristol to tell us who the Desis are voting for. All of that coming up next.